Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Thursday, bright and early, 4 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. All right, as you can see, I've got about 18 inches of snow out there on the back deck. This is a long deck. Here, let me take you guys outside. I hope the wind doesn't kick up now. It goes down the entire length of and it's cantilevered. I have to get out there and shovel so that it doesn't rip off the side of my house this morning. That's a lot of weight out there. Okay, so good morning to everybody. I made one video that I was going to download yesterday. Here, let me get you guys all situated. All right. I made a video that I was going to download first thing this morning, and it was about Donald Trump and something I'm hearing more about called a shadow presidency. And this is a fear I had. I didn't have a name for it yet. Like in the last couple of weeks, we kind of see how the infant-in-chief is going to act, and kind of got a feel for him trying to, being the narcissist he is, and that's putting it lightly. That he's gonna want to keep the spotlight on him, and there's this new term coming up, shadow presidency, where he's going to try to upstage Biden basically by going down to Mar-a-Lago and using that as the proverbial non-official White House South, and where he would, you could already get images in your mind what Trump is capable of. Can you imagine, say, the State of the Union address? You know that Trump would come out with an alternative broadcast, and this would create, obviously, would create a more divided America during these times. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that once again we broke all sorts of records yesterday, Wednesday. 3,600 deaths across the country. Almost 250, almost 250,000 people infected just yesterday, testing positive. It's scary. And then the big fear here, 112,000 people hospitalized yesterday. The big fear is, of course, is that the Christmas time socialization will mix with the peak of what happened at Thanksgiving and create all sorts of problems. And that's scary. All right, so back to the shadow presidency here. And I did a video talking about this. And I mixed in with it the story of a Dallas ex-sheriff who ran a air conditioning repairman off the road. You guys probably heard the story. And I put it all together as this alternative universe where we'd have this branch off of America, these people that refuse to believe that Biden won, a shadow presidency from Mar-a-Lago. And as evidence here, we have this ex-sheriff just within the last couple of weeks that took it upon himself to do some kind of invalid investigation. He believed there were 750,000 illegal fraudulent ballots in this air conditioning repairman's truck. And he went to try to report it. Officials kind of said move along, of course. He's being funded by a evangelical, some kind of Trump evangelical group backing him with over $250,000 to fund his activities. He runs this air conditioning repairman off the road, holds him at gunpoint, puts a knee in his back, and there's no. Supposedly, the sheriff thought that there were 750,000 fraudulent ballots using the names of supposedly deceased illegal immigrant children. Yeah, this is where these people's heads are at right now. So obviously, I'm not even going to get into why he thought that these non-existent ballots were in this truck, or why they would possibly be signed by non-existent or deceased immigrant children, because supposedly those signatures wouldn't be traceable. it boggles the mind. A lot of people with logic and common sense, it just boggles the mind. It goes back to the days of Pizzagate. All right, so these are Trump's people, and we're talking about this shadow presidency. So that was the video for yesterday. All right. Today I see more news stories, and these are interesting, and I want to combine them with that. Now it's coming out that Trump is seriously floating the idea around the White House to his advisors that he isn't going to leave. He's not going to leave he's just not going to leave. He's just not leaving on January 20th. Yeah, not going to go. Nope, going to drag me out. Yeah, so this is all over Twitter and all over the social media platforms this morning. And he's supposedly Trump has supposedly been talked off the ledge several times within the last couple days. Now, of course, people like me, I heard it described on Twitter as a liberal's fever dream come true, seeing Trump dragged out by the Secret Service or what have you, or being tied to a dolly with the face mask, similar to Hannibal Lecter. And liberals are almost are very overjoyed. I just want to bring this up, though. This is something I thought about, and in all honesty, we don't know. This could happen. And I thought about it realistically, and this wouldn't be good for the country. Think about it. Think about America. We landed on the moon in '69. In 2020, we have an insane president being dragged out of the White House under force because he lost his mind, basically. It would be forever etched in American history that we had an insane president. That's how it's going to look. Picture this. We've all seen this. I remember when I was a kid, I was driving around a more urban area, and I saw a woman chasing. It was a whole family out in the front yard, and some members of the family were chasing the other members of the family with frying pans. I swear to God. I still remember this from when I was a kid. We've all seen stuff like that, and I'm not making fun of domestic violence or anything like that, but that sticks in your head. And all of a sudden, I got that picture as to America will be that family, on the world stage, while the rest of the world drives by and looks in horror as Trump is dragged out of the office, dragged out of his residence of the White House. The rest of the world will just look on, and that's the image that came to mind. Do we want to be that domestic violence family that the rest of the world goes by and just goes, oh, those poor people? Think about it. I also thought about this. I don't have any legal background, of course. I'm not a lawyer. I just play one on YouTube. That was good. Anyway, in all seriousness, now, so say Trump is dragged out of the White House, right? Or forcibly removed. And this is turning out to be a possibility. Wouldn't all sorts of countries and people and organizations and states have recourse then to say, well, then Donald Trump, his presidency is invalid. He was insane this whole time. Look, he had to get dragged out. You see where I'm going with this? Would it invalidate 4 years of Trump? Now, a lot of us, people like me, would outright, you want to say, yeah, sure, great. Let's just forget about the last 4 years. But I don't know if that would be, I don't know if that would be best for the country. Again, having Trump dragged out, and it might be a feel-good moment, but I think I think most logical, sane people are above that couple minutes of joy, whatever you want to call it. Another thing I wanted to bring up about legal recourse. And Trump has gone on, and a lot of other Donald Trump and a lot of the Republicans and senators, governors, talking about Democrats and stealing the election. And I started to really take offense to this in all seriousness, because they painted all Democrats in history, they're painting this whole election as being stolen by basically half the country. They're painting half the country as bad, morally bad, devious people. Seriously, and do we have recourse on a libel case here? I'm not saying that in all seriousness, but it gets to a point where you have to stand up for yourself and say enough is enough. With this ever shrinking group of Trump supporters and Donald Trump labeling all people that voted Democrat in this last election, 80 million people, labeling us all devious cheaters. I started to think about that, and there's a lot of Trump supporting business owners. There's a lot of Trump supporting landlords and people and investment bankers. And would this be a case for libel? Would we be looked at? Would 80 million Democrats be judged as dishonest? Is it a valid libel case? In other words, I'm saying here, enough is enough. We understand. We went through this whole thing. We, meaning the people that were not happy seeing Trump elected in 2016. We know it's not pleasant. I remember the day after the election in 2016. It was one of the worst days of my life. And I understand that. And we've given you some time, but enough is enough. All Democrats are not devious, lying, vote-stealing, fraudulent, communist, anti-American, antagonist, anarchists. And enough's enough. So it's time to pull back on that whole Democrat fraudulent cheaters thing. Just some thoughts. I got to get out there and shovel. I'm going to be back. I got a lot to talk about today. I'd like to talk about Peter Buttigieg. I'm sorry. I'd like to talk about him and being the first homosexual person in a presidential cabinet. And I think that's great. I think it takes, I admire the courage. I saw a video of him kissing his husband, and he talks about his husband. And being a straight man, any straight guy that sees that, there's a moment where we're like, I'll be honest with you guys, we're a little uncomfortable, not uncomfortable, but we just don't, it's hard to understand. But I don't judge. It's love, and love is always good. So I don't want to get too carried away, but that's going to be my next video I'd like to talk about. All right, I got to get out there and shuffle. You guys have a fantastic Thursday.